Today, in today's live stream, I want to thank all of you for being here. Awesome to have you folks. Wouldn't be possible without you. We're going to be covering how to add a local analog repeater to your Anytone 878 radio. So this is very useful if you have like a plug-and-play package, but you want to add some of your local repeaters, or if you have your radio just right out of the box and want to talk to someone local. So let's get right into it. So we have the radio here. So first thing I did is initialized it. So this is going to be completely reset just like you would take it out of the box. Then I've got the programming cable. So we're going to plug that in our computer. And then also on the radio, we'll plug in that programming cable. There you go, just like that. Now at this point, we've got the radio turned on and plugged in. It's a matter of actually going out and tracking down some information. So if you have a local repeater and you know that information, you can skip the step and we'll just move right into the programming. But most likely you're going to have to find out what the information is for your local repeater. So I pretty much use the DMR repeater up here. We're going to actually do this live, find an analog repeater, and see if we can't find one that will work. So open up a web browser, and I've already kind of found one here that I think will work for us, although I've yet to try transmitting to it. Don't know how far away exactly it is or if we're going to be able to hit it, but we're going to attempt it. And it will be, even if we can, we still have to have someone come back to us. So, but we'll definitely put it in there and try it out. So first thing to do is go to repeaterbook.com. So real simple, just repeaterbook.com, and then North American Repeaters, or wherever you're located. Now this is the resource I tend to use. There's a lot of, I'm sure, other resources out there. If you have a ham club, a lot of them already have that information for your local area, so maybe check with them too. But I like Repeater Book. It's real easy to find anything anywhere. So then just select your state. Awesome, there we go. Now at this point, there's a few filters you can apply. So if you wanted to look for a DMR repeater, for example, you could click DMR, or if you wanted to select a specific band, like a 2 meter or 70 centimeter. So this radio will do both of them, so you could use either one, or you could just select everything. So if I select all, that's going to show me absolutely everything out there. Now here's the cool part about Repeater Book. If you know what you're looking for, you can do like a Control F and then search for it, or in this case, we're looking more location-based. So what you can actually do is come up here to Map Results and then click on the map. And this is really cool. It will actually plot those repeaters out onto a map. So you can look, if we know we're here in Smithville, Missouri, we can look for repeaters around us and actually find them on a map. So if we scroll down here, here we go, here's a map. Let's see. Should be able to zoom in here. Control, so you hold down Control and then you can scroll. So we'll zoom into our local area. Let's see how many repeaters, that's awesome. Now we just have Missouri selected. Obviously if you had a different state, you'd see the repeaters for that state. Let's see. Okay, so there we go. And if you click on one, like if I click on this one, for example, it will actually let me see some of the information. Like I could click on this one up here. We actually talk to this one all the time. That's the DMR repeater. Well, that's actually a VHF version, it looks like. There is a UHF DMR repeater nearby. But today we're going to see if we can't talk to this guy. Oops, where is it? There it is. At least program that in. And if you want to see more information, just click More, and it will actually open up that repeater in a new tab. So here we have it. Now the information we're going to be looking for is the downlink and the uplink frequency. Now I always explain this to folks. It's very easy to get confused on them, especially if you're new into the hobby. Uplink, I'll explain kind of my analogy. So repeaters are typically on towers, they're high up, so repeaters are always going to be up high. And radios are going to be with you on the ground, most likely. So repeaters are always lower. So uplink is going to be in the eyes of the radio. You're going up to the repeater, so that's going to be transmit. So that's going to be your radio's transmit frequency. And then in the case of the radio, if the downlink is going to be the receive, because you're receiving down from the repeater. Now obviously you could use that same analogy if you were setting up a repeater, just in reverse. Awesome, so we have our frequencies. Then we just need to get our tone. So you can see here there's an uplink tone, but there's not a downlink tone. Now some repeaters may have a tone for both or for none. So just pay attention to that. Some are going to have a tone that's for both of them, both uplink and downlink. And some repeaters may just have one, or they may not have any at all. Sometimes they're different tones, sometimes they're the same. Just make sure you pay attention to that, and we'll put that information in the radio, because if you don't have that tone, you won't actually be able to use it. And that's pretty much it. Obviously, pay attention to the name, that way we can give it a name in the radio. But we're pretty much set. So let's open up the programming software. Here we go. Open that up real quick. So I've got that installed. Now first thing we're going to do is actually read from the radio. So we're going to read from it, and that way everything's going to be synchronized between the computer and the radio. So if we didn't read from it first, oftentimes people will build their code plug and then try to write to the radio, and then they'll end up getting a band error. So to avoid that, you always want to read from the radio first before you actually build your code plug. So here we go. Just go ahead and click on that COM port icon up here. And yep, we can see the radio is connected. Click OK, and then click the button to the left of it. If you hover over it, it'll say read from radio. Click on that. And I'm not worried about what I have in there currently, so then just go ahead and click OK to read from radio. We only need to worry about the other data at this point, so just click OK. There we have it. And if you folks have any more questions about any of this stuff, so if you're wanting to program your radio, or you need help getting your DMR ID, anything like that, we'd love to help you with it. So give us a call, 816-532-8451. We'd love to help you get set up with that. We've also been doing some presentations to local clubs, or not just local ones, but around the country over Zoom. One of our fellow members here, Josh, and myself, Cody, W3AMG, we've been giving some presentations just kind of after hours on our own time, because we love the hobby and want to get more people involved in it. But we may be coming to a club near you soon, so at least virtually. So definitely keep an eye out for that. We'd love to help you guys in any way we can, just be a resource for you. Awesome, there we go, read data complete. So we're all set here. So the first thing we want to do is just go ahead and double click on a new channel. There we go. Now you could delete the factory ones that come in there. I usually do, but we're going to skip over that today. Now we can give it a name. So let's see what that repeater was called. The W0TE. So we'll do W0TE. Repeater, there we go. Now this is analog, so we're going to switch over to analog. There we have it. Actually, we'll make sure this is analog. Yep, it is. We've got a tone. There we go. Transmit power, it's a little bit further away, so I'm going to crank it up to turbo. We're probably not going to be able to reach it because we're in the studio here. Not a lot of radio waves get out of here very easily, but we'll try it. There we go, turbo. And then bandwidth, we can leave that alone. Okay, we'll enter our frequencies. So let's see what they are. So the transmit is going to be the uplink, so that's 146.19. Okay, 146.19. There we go. And if you're doing that on the radio, just hit the pound key and it will automatically fill in the rest for you. Okay. Uplink 146.19. Downlink is 146.79. There you have it. Awesome. So we're all set there. Now one thing to keep in mind for the tones, we will want to set a tone. Let's see, CTCSS. Okay, so encode and decode. So encode is going to be when it's sending, so that's going to be your transmit, and decode is what it's receiving, so keep that in mind here. Now for this repeater, we had an uplink tone. So uplink is going to be transmitting. So that means if it's an uplink tone, that's going to be encoding. So we're going to encode that for the uplink. So go ahead and select CTCSS here, and then let's find out what our tone was. It was 107.2, so we'll select that tone. There you go, 107.2, and there we have it. Now, keep in mind this, the carrier squelch, you can set that, in this case it's carrier. Now if we had, let's see, I believe if we had a tone set here, you're going to get two options. So since this is just a transmit tone, it's not going to make a difference. But if you do have a decode tone set, down here in squelch mode, you're going to have options for carrier or CTCSS/DCS. Now the options there, carrier is going to make it so you basically hear everything. So if the repeater is set up with a CW ID that it doesn't basically encode a tone with, it sends it out without a tone. If you have that set to carrier, you're probably going to hear that as well. Now if you set this to CTCSS, that's going to mean all you will hear is just people talking on the radio. You won't hear that CW ID when the repeater IDs if you have it set up that way, and if the repeater is set up for that. Just keep that in mind. In this case, it doesn't matter because we don't have a decode tone set anyway. So there we go. We're all set. So we've got a name. We have set to analog, our power, the frequency. So just click OK. Awesome. There we go. So at this point, we are pretty much ready. Oops. Okay. No. Okay. There we go. Now we do need to add this channel to a zone. Otherwise, we're not actually going to be able to use it. So go over here to your zones, and we'll open up that zone 1. You could create a new zone. What I like to do is if I have my radio set up for, let's say, my plug-and-play package with my SkyBridge, I usually just go in and create a new zone for local repeaters, and I'll just create them in there. In this case, we'll just empty out zone 1, and oops, and we'll put this repeater over there. Awesome, just like that. Click OK, and now that's all that's going to show up on the radio. Now it is always a good idea to change a few of your optional settings. So click on them, and then I like to go over to work mode and change the display mode from frequency to channel. You definitely want to do this. If you don't, you won't actually be able to see what you're looking at over here. You want to change that to channel so you can actually see what you named it versus just a frequency. And then a few other things. I like to turn subchannel off, just preferences. At this point, once you have your channels programmed in and in zones, it's a good time to just make any customizations you want to the radio to make it more personal. We can also add a custom background image if we want, but we're not going to worry about that right now. Awesome, there we have it. So at this point, go ahead and click on that COM port button. There you go. And we're going to click Write to Radio. There we go. Other data, perfect, there we go. So write data complete, and after this we're going to take some questions, so start putting your questions in the chat, that way we can get to them. If you have questions about this or about anything else ham radio related. So awesome, here we go. Wait for the radio to boot back up. Okay. There we have it. So there is the repeater, W0TE. Awesome. So we programmed that in. I don't think we're going to be able to hit it from here, but we're certainly going to give it a shot. This is Cody, W3AMG, trying out the local repeater here. Does anyone copy? No, probably. I think we're not going to be able to hit it in this building, it doesn't look like. But that's how it works, folks. So we've got this programmed in. If I went outside and down the road a little bit, we'd be talking to that repeater loud and clear. So how cool is that? We've got this set up, and you can add as many of these as you want. And you can also add digital channels to the same zone. So if you want to have multiple channels in there, you're all set to do that. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope you learned something from today's video. If you did, be sure to hit that subscribe button and click the notification bell next to it to make sure you don't miss out on any more great content. That's all I have for you today. I'm Cody, W3AMG 73.